Welcome back, Air Acolytes, to another exciting installment of Breaking Wind, a Last Avatar podcast. I do that every single time it's a Last Airbender podcast. See, we're only 34 seconds into the show and I've already messed it up. That's okay, because get used to it. It happens a lot. With me as always, well, I am Jason Roy Gaston, and with me as always, my buddy, my pal, my friend, who's over here, VHS Jace. We're back to look at another episode of live action Avatar: The Last Airbender from Netflix. This episode is called Warriors.
Come out.
What are your impressions? What? Yeah.
I gotta say, watching this as a standalone episode only. It is a mash of a few of the animated ones, I think, but I really enjoyed watching this again this morning. This is actually stands out to me one of the better episodes within the series. So yeah, I had a good time watching this morning.
And I am right there with you. It's a different experience when you're not binging the entire show at once. Whenever you kind of slow down and look at episode by episode, your experience is different. And you know what? I have to agree with you. This one is my favorite so far. We'll see if that changes as we individually look at the other episodes, but let's just dive right into it. So we open with the happiest seafaring guys around, Zuko and Iroh.
They are fun time.
Oh yeah, Zuko totally hinged and not at all upset because they have not found the Avatar yet. And Iroh, being Iroh, Zuko, you should not be so upset. Would you like some tea?
I know you like the guy.
I still got problems with him.
I got a question for you. I really believe Iroh, even in the animated series, and especially this episode, is really, as we call it here, taking the piss. Like, out of Zuko. So he's kind of niggling him and teasing him for his own amusement, I feel sometimes.
And he has to. Yeah, he has to. He has to. I've already said I'm not a huge fan of the way that this actor is interpreting Iroh, but I have to waggle a finger at myself and say, this is not animated Avatar. This is something different. You need to let it try on its own. So I'm giving this actor and I'm giving this interpretation a shot. Pacing it out. I still don't like it, but we'll see. We'll see. But let's forget about that. We're going back to not Air Temple Island. We're going back to the Southern Air Temple, where Aang and Katara and Sokka are basically they're picking up the pieces from the last episode. Lots of things happened.
This image is kind of indicative of how they treat Katara through the whole series, right?
Yeah,
she's just always out of focus.
Out of focus in the background. She sneezes. They're like, "Who said that?" Yeah, I don't think my opinion of that's going to change much. They did not do Katara.
It's kind of glaring in this episode too, as you'll get to.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But yeah, Sokka's got a bit of a problem with Aang because Aang almost blew them off a mountain. Katara wants to stick with Aang. Of course, there's a little bit of disagreement there. And then we meet the most important character in the show. It's Momo. Who has realized, I love this. This is perfect. I mean, it's a perfect
mix of feral animal and kind of still indicative of the cartoon version. I thought it was.
And expressive, super duper expressive. I would say almost even more expressive than the cartoon was.
So, yeah, they get the relationship between him and Sokka pretty well down.
They do.
Too, which I
they
like.
do. When Sokka calls him drumstick, I'm just like, yeah. Also, 100% on point casting right there. I don't know who this actor is. They did a great job. So they compress one of Katara's most important storylines into, oh, by the way, here's a waterbending scroll.
Oh, man, this scene is horrible, Jason. God. They make fun of it in a way at the end of that scene in the river.
They kind of do, and it's just, oh, by the way, here's a waterbending scroll. It's got all of our important things on it. You don't have to learn anything. You don't have to learn any kind of personal lessons,
Katara. On each other.
You go, it's water. Oh, the heck with you and that flex. Why do you do this to my girl? Don't do this to my girl.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Hmm.
they take off, and Aang, looking at the notes that he stole from Zuko, says, "We need to head to Kyoshi Island," which incidentally looks just like the animated series, which
It is,
that's cool. That's
right?
cool.
It is.
They head to Kyoshi Island, which was the home of the Avatar before Aang, who was just by all intents and purposes an absolute BA,
Mm.
absolute unit of an Avatar. Um, I don't remember how much they said in this episode, but basically, she had no problem killing her enemies multiple times over, to the point that they would arrive in the afterlife dead on arrival. That's how much she would kill people.
I think they do communicate that in this episode with her, because she kind of how they represent her, how she speaks is very direct, very ruthless.
Yes, she is a very ruthless avatar, and left behind some ruthless warriors that we meet right away whenever Sokka dares go inside the temple of Kyoshi, and that's when we meet Suki, the the Kyoshi warrior, and her friends. Which I'm going to say again. I know we said this in our previous podcast where we kind of did an overview, but this is perfect. This is
She is
absolutely
great. Her
perfect.
crew is great. Everything about this is a big win.
Yeah, so I'm very happy with what they did with the Kyoshi Warriors here.
Oh yes, yes,
Little
very
bit of
much.
funness here. They're like, if you had been the Avatar, we would have gotten a sign. He is the Avatar. um, which is
Yes,
that was funny. That was
that
funny.
was kind of funny. The timing of
I
that's pretty
enjoy
good.
that kind of humor. I wish we'd seen more of it, but I do enjoy that kind of humor.
Mm.
So, Aang and the gang are taken into, I don't know, Kyoshi City, and there they meet the matron of the village, who is also
Mm.
Suki's mother. Because
She's
of
a
course she is.
wonderful actress, and I've
Yes.
been racking my brain without going on IMDb what I know her most from, but I cannot remember. But she is
See, I'm the
wonderful.
same way. She's one of those actors who just disappears into her role that you never remember her, until, until you're trying to remember who she is. So I'm going
It's a
to.
really nice juxtaposition, this village, though, because this village outwardly are very generous, very welcoming and supportive, but at the same time, there's this other side of the village that's so ruthless,
Yes.
and it comes from that leader all the way down through the Croatian warriors. And I think it's a wonderful balance that they do this for this village. They're ready. They're always ready.
Yes, they
Mm.
are, and I'm still like trying to surreptitiously trying to find out who this.
Well, what I do want to say about, especially with the lead Kawashi warrior, and I know we could have talked about this later on, but the relationship between her and Soka is unbelievably good in this episode. I buy the fact that they were into each other so much more than we get in the end part of the series, which
Yes.
in the animated series, that was a super important relationship. And now they feel like they've moved that to this one. And not a big one for romance stories, but I really bought into that well. I thought it was wonderful.
Uh, I'm the same way. I think that Suki and Sokka, I mean, they even sound like a couple names.
Suki and
Suki and
Saka
Sokka sitting in the
sitting
tree.
in the tree.
Kissing. Anyway, I fully buy that they had a spark between them, even though Suki
Mm.
was kind of weird about it, but it's okay. Because I again that led to comedy, which I
Yes,
thought was
which I
funny.
like too.
Um, yeah, a definite,
Yeah. Also,
definite
her
spark.
description on how come, he goes, you're the most powerful warrior you've ever seen. And then I think comes up about, but they're firebenders. Well, that's why we're so good, because we don't have airbending, earthbending, firebending skills. So we have to just be the best warriors we can be. And I just love that
Yes,
philosophy in it.
I
Yeah.
love that too because I remember a few people were saying, well, what is the point of the Kyoshi warriors if they don't bend? There you go.
There you go.
That's it. Because
That's it.
anybody can fight. I mean, we got Sokka.
Yeah.
And this is one thing that I did enjoy with this episode, kind of skipping around a little bit. But
Yes.
Sokka, as we go through the last Airbender,
Mm,
Aang picks up all of these skills from everyone that he meets. But if you look in the background, Sokka is doing the exact same thing. Every time he
mm.
visits a nation, he learns a new mode of combat. And
That's
it's
amazing.
no different here. And so
Yeah.
Sokka is basically becoming the non-bending avatar, in my opinion. But
Yeah, yeah.
let's continue with the story. I'm sorry, my phone is not cooperating today. So
Mm.
the matron of the village basically says you have 48 hours to talk to Kiyoshi, and then you need to get the fudge out.
Good.
Speaking of fudge, it's Admiral Douchebag, live
Who's
action.
great? I
Yes,
love
he's
him.
great. He's great. He's great. He's great. But the character, he sucks. He's such a toady. I don't know. I like what they've done with him in the live action version because he's a lot more of a snake here.
Yeah, that's
He is
why I
a
like this General's Hour.
backstabber.
I like this.
Yeah. So
Was this
yeah,
is just commander, sorry, isn't he? He's commander at the
I
moment.
think he's an admiral here. I don't think that they
Oh,
bother. I don't know. I could be wrong. I
oh,
could be wrong.
oh.
But yeah, they come over. Zuko and Iroh come over and they're like, "Hey, we're looking for fish. My uncle wants to eat fish. Give us all of your charts." And of course, he's like, "Sure, that doesn't sound weird at all. Sure, why not?" And then, of course, because Zuko's such a turd to the people on his crew, one of his crew members blabs to Zhao, "Hey, yeah, we're looking for the Avatar. Ha ha ha! Don't tell nobody."
Mm.
Back on the island, of course, we get the spark here. Suki being a little peeping tom, like, "No, don't look at my titties." She's being a little bit of a peeping tom there, which is I found kind of weird, but at the same time, I'm like, she's awkward.
Yeah.
She's an amazing warrior, but she's awkward AF, and I think that
Yeah,
is
and
such a
she's
cool character
just
trait.
like any young person sees, someone that she's attracted to, she becomes,
Don't look at my boobies.
yeah, yeah. Don't look at me.
Which Ian Owsley I thought was hilarious in that scene.
Yeah, look at me. I haven't been working out in the gym for 12
Yeah,
months. I haven't.
like, no, don't look at my perfectly sculpted body. What's wrong with you? Don't look at these abs. Don't look at these pecs. Anyway, Katara is using her scroll of waterbend because we can't have character development on Katara.
Oh, I really hate this scene, Jason.
Yeah, so let's
really hate this scene. Yeah,
yeah, it's a bad scene.
It's a slap in the face to the original story point.
It really is. It is. Compressing a story sometimes does not work. That's why this series needs to be 10 episodes.
Well, you compress a character arc that goes over half the series in the animated and you condense it to what is a minute and a half scene.
Yeah.
Really? Because at the end they're splashing water in each other and everything's awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm learning water bending. I'm a girl.
Yeah, there's no jealousy there. There's no insecurity there. There's none of that. We don't.
Everything's cool. I'm background furniture. Do better, Netflix. Do better.
Do better.
I did like this scene.
It's nice to see that moment done.
Yeah, even though it was a little bit,
not as funny.
It was kind of slow motion to me, but it was fine. It was fine. So Sokka and Suki exchange a little bit of warrior prowess. Sokka on the Mr. Boomerang and Suki with her little fan blades, her Melina fan blades, which I thought was super cool.
They are very super cool.
They are. It's like, And then Aang has a flashback talking about how his training was not really about using his powers. It was about controlling them because he was way too powerful.
And I liked that they showed that. I did
too. I like the flashbacks to before the Purge because I know they did it on the animated series, but here it's like I feel like we're seeing more of Aang's life before it fell apart. And it's all part of his desire to contact Avatar Kyoshi, who is super duper scary, even in print form.
It is. It's beautiful, but it's creepy.
It is creepy. Sokka, in the meantime, is now he's perving on the Kyoshi warriors, but not for that reason. He's perving on them because he wants to study their moves. And Suki's got a few moves of her own. One,
She's
she can
gorgeous, by
remove
the
her
way.
makeup. Yes, she is. She can remove her makeup in less than half a second. Which I just want to remind everybody. First, she looks like this, and then it's like one wipe. She's like this. That's not how makeup works
No,
at
that's just
all.
some quality makeup wipes. That's what that
Yeah,
is.
that's her
She's got the
sleeve, just like.
best of the best. Yeah, it's very Mission Impossible pulling a
No,
face off type of
Brent
deal there.
Spiner home watching this, going, "How it took? Why didn't they tell me?" Um, so Zuko and Iroh,
At the
they find
marketplace. Yeah.
they're at the marketplace and they find out that Zhao has gone because he's investigating a flying cow. They're like, oh no, somebody squealed. Aang goes into the spirit world to contact Kyoto. I don't know why I'm giggling. Something about there's a flying cow. Oh, do you think
Right.
Appa's like a bird? Do you think he poops while he's flying? Because that would ruin your day. I'm
yes,
just
that would.
you said, yeah, yeah, boss. I'm sorry. Flying bison crapped on my car, and I'm waiting for the insurance adjuster to arrive.
And
Also,
that is one
my
that
child is dead.
well, they do say here in Australia, if a seagull poops on you, it's good luck. So I imagine if bison craps on you, you're going to win the lotto, I would assume.
I guess so. You need to have some kind of good karma going after you. Anyway, Aang goes into the spirit world and meets Avatar Kyoshi, who is very tall and very scary.
This is a big change, right, Jason? This is a big change.
This is a big change. Now, he does contact Kyoshi in the series, but mostly his guides have been Roku, the avatar before him. This live action series changes it up because it seems like every time he gets advice, it's from one of his previous lives. I like this.
Yeah, me too. I think that's an improvement they made.
I really liked Roku. He was a great character, and to be honest, when we meet him later, I was not super impressed with their interpretation of him. But I like the fact that Aang is drawing on all of his previous lives and not just one guy. It's a good move. I like that.
Yeah, it's great. No, it is. It's really
We
good.
can just get them to improve Katara's arc a little bit. It would be great.
They got some work to do for season 2.
Zuko and Iroh rush to Kyoshi Island because that is where all the trouble be. And Avatar Kyoshi. I love this shot. Avatar Kyoshi is just basically like, "Oh, Aang, you have to understand. If you want to protect people, you have to kill everyone who threatens them."
I was saying you were doing that nicely. That voice. She was just like, "This is the deal. You've got to do this. You've got to do that. If you want to be the Avatar, here are responsibilities." You know, she almost could have grabbed him and shook him and just said, "Just
kill
do this.
Everyone, Aang. Kill them all." Son of Sam's dog said the same thing to Son of Sam, and for some reason he was crazy.
One of the things that bothers me about films when they do this, and this episode does this, is when he is talking to her in the spirit world. We then have this in the real world that Aang, wake up. We're just about to be in trouble. Wake up, Aang. So we have this ticking clock, and it's such an obvious way to try to build tension and build suspense, but it's just like we all know right at the last second everything's going to be okay. It just seems a cheap trick at that point.
Speaking of a cheap trick, Admiral Zhao comes to Kyoshi's island and asks the matriarch to pull his finger.
I would have.
Guess what? He can firebend out of both ends. But
did that. I didn't need no lighters to do that.
We do. Okay. In the Legend of Korra, there is a fart bender.
Oh, right. Awesome. Yeah. Okay,
because,
great. They went there.
It's basically wind, and he just bends that. He's like a little kid, though, so it's like,
it's no different than Katara having her little satchel of water, right?
Yeah.
When he needs it, it's there.
No different. He's just got a little satchel of air, just
it's just up his butt.
So the Fire Nation arrives at Kyoshi's Island, and they just start messing everything up.
Beautiful, great scene. Like production
Wonderful,
value here,
wonderful scene.
amazing.
There are some great stills from this episode. I'm going to show you one right now because, of course,
I
Zuko.
really like this. This is one of the big strengths in this episode is the fight scene at the end, which I think was excellent.
Yeah, so Zuko shows up, and he has this brief battle with Katara, who is still very much a novice waterbender.
Yeah.
Zuko is able to beat her pretty easily, and he is just like, I'm gonna
I'm gonna knock things off a desk.
Back into the floor. Thank you, gravity. That's just awesome. Okay, this is pretty much this still right here is this is the first time this actor has been Zuko so far, in my opinion. Aside from a quick bit at the end of the first episode where he was like, this is Zuko. So this kid has got it if the writers will give it to him.
Yeah.
So he's just like,
we get a lot of emo. Yeah. We get a lot of emo Zuko, but here we get psychopath Zuko.
Yeah, he this is a guy who is like driven, he's angry, he's gonna go through anybody he needs to. And I want to see more of this guy. But he's like, yeah, I'm not gonna let no girl stand in front of me. And Aang says, well, I am no girl. Avatar Kyoshi has taken over Aang's body while it's in the Avatar state. And she is ready to throw down.
Oh my she
my gosh, I know. Is it not just gorgeous? Everything
just
about
how
this,
she uses all her elements to spin them all around.
Yeah.
The way she's just knocking fools over.
The first time we've seen an Avatar in not rifled with at all. And of course, while that's
yeah.
Go ahead. Please continue.
No, I was going to say what's so great about it is we as an audience, and if you haven't been watching the animated series, go, oh, okay, we hear how powerful the avatars are, but now we've actually for the first time got to see it.
Yes.
You know, and by then you go, okay, well, don't F them.
He is a heck of an introduction too, because she is beautiful and she is intimidating and she is strong. And
Jason, her fight style is beautiful.
Yes, it's like
everything about her is beautiful.
She is she's transcendent almost. She's just so above everything. Her expression never changes. She's just like, this is my job. Burn, fire, water, air, dirt, fart. But she's just that's just who she is. She makes quick work of them while Sokka and Suki are also aiding and helping each other. And Sokka uses her fan because he has picked up some. It was great.
And we get a payoff. Yep, we get a payoff there.
And the Fire Nation retreats, and so does Avatar Kyoshi back into Aang, who then takes a well-deserved nap. So great, absolutely phenomenal sequence.
Yeah. Can I just, because you put out that photo of Aang. Aang in this episode for me, it's not great. What they do with Aang is not great. Just the performance, the direction they're giving that kid, it just feels very flat and monotone in this episode. Well, and again, I'm not attacking the performer, I'm attacking the direction.
Not at all.
No, not at all. It's the direction of it.
They're not allowing Aang to be a kid. And I will say this, I will also say this with Sokka, because it seems like to me, they made the conscious decision to remove character flaws. Aang is a lot more mature than he is in the animated series. Sokka does not have his signature misogyny or sexism. And whenever you remove character flaws, it leaves no room for growth. A character, who they are at the beginning, who they are at the end. That's one of the most beautiful things about the animated series is that every single character goes through growth and becomes more than what they were. They become they become more skilled. They become better people. I just don't see it happening here because the show has left them with nothing to improve.
It's Aang's almost beautiful, innocent ignorance which gives him a lot of charm and is one of the driving points of his character. It's Katara's insecurity, which is one of her big character arcs that we have. It's Sokka's, like you said, limited worldview and him expanding not only his physical skills but his mental attitude towards the world. They're just gone. They're not there, are they?
But speaking of expanding your worldview, Sokka finally gets to kiss somebody who's not related.
Which is cool. I like that.
And she gives him a parting gift, gives him her fan, which he was really good at using. So I really hope we get to see that again. Mm-hmm. And the gang decide to fly away, and Sokka makes a new friend. Also, by the way, again, absolute perfect casting is Sokka.
His facial expressions, it's almost like he's been watching the episodes and just like remembering what faces he has to make in certain parts when he says the lines. It's so perfect. It's unbelievable.
It really is. And well, let's go back to our buddy Zhao, who tells Zuko and Iroh, you know, hey, if you told me about the Avatar, I could help you because we can double our resources. And then immediately tattles on them to the Fire Lord, who, by the way, my gosh, again, perfect casting right here. The actor escaping me, which is weird because I'm a big fan.
Daniel Day
Kim, right?
Yep, I believe so.
Okay, yeah. Hawaii 5-0 Lost.
Yeah, I was going to say the fans of Lost will come at me if I get that wrong. So
yeah, but yeah, absolutely perfect casting. Again, this dude is like 55 and he's built like a brick house. I'm
25,
and I'm still like dusting Cheeto dust off of my guts.
I look like him when I'm decomposing. I've bloated up. I haven't quite gone full decomposing yet, but yeah. Like,
I've shamed the Fire Lord.
Hey, and let's forget about his looks. He gets one line and he comes off intimidating as F.
I'm just going to dub him Fire Daddy.
Yeah, he's Fire Daddy. Scary Fire Daddy. Scary Fire Daddy.
Which is the best kind of daddy.
I agree.
So anyway.
I agree. This is a good episode, Jace. It's a good episode. This one, not a great one.
Yeah, in retrospect, out of all 8 episodes so far, now again, keep in mind my opinion may change as we slowly go through the next 6. But yeah, so far this one's my favorite. I honestly think it had the best action, the best writing. Definitely made some mistakes. Not great, but really good. I like it.
Put it this way, at the end of the episode, I would have happy for the camera crew to have stayed on Kyoshi Island and let the guys just go. Because that's how well I think they did Kyoshi Island and the characters. I want to see more of that.
It just means we would have missed out on Momo.
Yeah, no, we got to have Momo.
We got to have Momo. Rocks. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for this episode of Breaking Wind, a Last Airbender podcast. Please like and subscribe if you have not done so already. Also, drop us a comment. Tell us if you agreed with us or not. And of course, there is information about how to join our Patreon in the video description below. You can join our Patreon for as little as $5 a month, and you get all kinds of unnecessary fun and maybe a little saucy goodies every now and again. So please consider becoming a Patreon of this humble channel. You would do us much honor. Join us next week as we continue to break wind with Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh, there we go.
I'm being punched with them buttons, my friend. I got this. You're button bending.